Hey, hi everybody. Facebook and Instagram, we are talking about your number 8 most common question, which has to do with insulin problems and perimenopause and menopause. This is an awesome question. So I hope you will join me. I have to have my iPad plugged in, so I got it sideways because the plug is on the bottom. They could have planned that a little better, just in my opinion, just saying. Not telling Apple how to do stuff, but for me right now, hey, it's Dana. We've got Ika Lewis and VF Homeopathy. How are you? Welcome. Let me know who's here on Facebook. We were late today because I had to go get my hair done. You know what I'm talking about? Like first. Let me just make sure. No, I'm still live. Okay. So your question today was awesome. Hey, from Brooklyn. You know, my hometown's Manhattan. That's where I was born and raised. Went to Bronx Science, so right around the corner from Brooklyn. So the question that I got yesterday, was it you, Ika, who posed that question about the insulin? If it was, let me know exactly the question again. Hey, Jerry. Let me know exactly the question again, or whoever posted it yesterday, because it was a great question. And on the One Thing Hormone Survey, where we got 150 responses, thank you for that. It was amazing. One of the most common questions we got was about insulin problems and midlife, diabetes, insulin resistance, things like that. So we didn't have time to cover it yesterday, so I wanted to come today and cover it. So thank you for asking that question. So the question has to do with how does insulin interact with the hormonal changes that occur at midlife? And this is a great question because they do interact. So we talked yesterday about how when I was interviewing one of my friends, Dr. Beverly Yates, who specializes in helping people heal from diabetes naturally, and yes, you can heal from diabetes naturally, completely reverse it. She said this quote that I love, which is, not everybody partied their way to diabetes, which I love because it's so true. We have this idea that when it comes to diabetes type 2, which is not juvenile type 1 diabetes that people get when they're kids, which there are different theories about how people get it, and it actually knocks out all the cells in the pancreas, the islet cells that make insulin, so you don't make any insulin, so you're insulin dependent. We're not talking about that. What we're talking about is type 2 diabetes that is typically thought to be lifestyle related. So you eat too many sugars and carbs, and it stresses out your pancreas, and then you have an insulin problem, and that is what creates diabetes. So the kind of storyline about that is that you partied your way to diabetes. You ate too many Dunkin' Donuts, Krispy Kremes, ice cream, Ben and Jerry's, right? So it's a Ben and Jerry's disease. That's the idea, is that you had a good time eating all that stuff to get there. But the truth is, that's not always true. It is for some people. You know who you are. It's okay. We all indulge sometimes. But for a lot of people, that's not the case. It's actually because you had other hormonal imbalances that caused your insulin to have a problem that raised your blood sugar, that pushed you into diabetes. And so when I teach about the hormones, I teach about the 7 main metabolic driving hormones. So insulin is one of those, thyroid is one, but cortisol and DHEA are really the rulers. And then you've got estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone, your sex hormones, that also have to do with your metabolism. They're not just about sex. So here you come, a woman at midlife, you hit 35, and the number of eggs you have in your ovary is markedly decreased from the millions that you had when you were born, because every month you mature one, or if you're a twin maker, you mature two, and then many thousands disintegrate. So you're doing this month after month from the time you get your period until continuously, right? So by the time you're 35, you have so few eggs, and the eggs you do have are so old that they just don't make great hormones. So you start having what we talked about yesterday, programmed obsolescence starts kicking in. And you start having changes in your hormones. And the main thing that you have is your estrogen starts going up and your progesterone starts going down. And the problem is that the estrogen then can cause insulin resistance. So that means your insulin, that's the hormone that's designed to keep your blood sugar in check every time you eat a Krispy Kreme, if you choose to, right? Krispy Kreme in, insulin up. Bring that blood sugar down. It doesn't want your blood sugar too high. It likes it in a narrow range. But when the estrogen starts going up and the progesterone starts going down, those two start monkeying with that whole system, where you might not even eat a Krispy Kreme, but your blood sugar might start riding high because your cells become resistant to the signals that insulin is giving. And then compound that with the fact that universally we all undergo and have so much stress in our lives and in our bodies that it's affecting our stress hormone cortisol, and that further can cause our blood sugar to ride high and our insulin to have a problem. So I have some clients, people, and there were a lot of people on the one question survey. And if you know what I'm talking about, you haven't been eating Krispy Kremes and you're wondering what's going on with my weight, what's going on with my energy, give me some hearts, give me some thumbs up, give me some likes, give me some comments. Let me know you're here. Let me know you're listening. Let me know, does this relate to you? Because I didn't make this up. There were, out of 150 questions, at least 20 about insulin and midlife. So I know I'm not talking about something that nobody cares about, because you guys told me that you care about this. So hopefully you're hearing. Thank you for participating. So, you know, I have clients all the time who eat a very strict diet, and there were questions like this on the One Thing survey. I have eaten strict keto for 3 years. I can't lose a pound. I can't regain my energy. What is wrong with me? And my doctor tells me I have insulin resistance, which typically if you have insulin resistance, you want to eat a kind of keto-ish diet. And the issue has to do with hormone balance. So this is also what I like people to understand, that, you know, when you're 20, you go on that cruise, you indulge in the food because they have the freaking buffet open all the time. Have you guys ever been on a cruise? I was shocked when I went on a cruise and I saw there's so more food than any small country could consume in a year at every meal, and it's open all the time. So anyway, most people do gain weight on cruises. But then when you're 20, you come home, you change your diet a little, you work out a little more, and what happens? You lose the weight, no problemo, right? But when you're 40, 45, 50, not so much. You gain 10 pounds on the cruise, you can't shake it when you get home. Because, you know, we are led to believe when we're 20, oh, my weight has to do with what I eat, calories in minus calories out, what I do. What I eat minus what I do. So you really believe that, but it's not true. What's true is that it has to do with your hormone balance, because your hormones are telling all your cells what to do with the calories you do consume and how to let go of the calories for your activity. So when you're 20, if you don't have anything else going on, you're perfectly balanced with these 7 metabolic hormones, no problem. But by the time you're 40, your sex hormones are out of balance by programmed obsolescence. You're made to have a hormone problem, right? When God made you, unfortunately, you were made to have a hormone problem when you were 40. And your stress hormone cortisol has had a problem because you've lived all these years with all the ups and downs that we all have, right? Losing jobs, pandemics, stay-at-home orders. You know what I'm talking about, right? It's just living life is stressful. Not to mention that's stress from the outside, stress from inside your body, from your gut dysfunction that we pretty much all have because we eat non-organic food that has antibiotics in it and kills our healthy bacteria. And this is another question that people ask on the One Thing survey that we'll talk about one day. So we've all got cortisol problems. So here you are, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60, 65, whatever age, and you're like, oh, I want to lose 30 pounds. Let me work out some extra at the gym and let me cut what I'm eating. It doesn't work. You can tell me it doesn't work because you can tell me in the comments. I know, because that was what happened to me. I tried every diet suppression pill, prepackaged food, Weight Watcher, keto, workout program there is. They don't work. Why don't they work? Because they don't address the fact that your caloric intake and output is uncoupled from your weight and your energy because you have hormone imbalance. Hey, Yvette, Jeanette says yes, right? So you've got to, right? Ika says creases are perfect for gluttony. Oh my gosh, it's unreal. So you have to address these issues in order to recouple weight with energy production, and then your calorie changes will work, but you've got to fix that problem. So the insulin resistance issue, it's saying my battery is low and I'm plugged in, so sorry about that. Okay, so the insulin resistance issue, these insulin problems, it doesn't mean you partied your way to them, but it does mean that you've got hormonal imbalance. That's the secret that no one's telling you that you need to know. So you have to balance your hormones to get rid of the insulin resistance so that you can make your dietary modifications and exercise modifications and actually lose the weight and regain the energy because you've recoupled energy and the weight. So I see a few comments here that I want to read. We've got, Ika says, I remember when going off dairy, gluten, and sugar stopped working for weight loss. Yes, I flagged issues with my thyroid, but no one believed me until 4 years later when I finally presented as Hashimoto's. Oh my gosh, Ika, so that story I hate to hear, but it is so common. How many women do you guys know who are like, even women watching now, I know I have a thyroid problem, but my doctor tells me I don't. They checked my thyroid and told me it was normal. I talk to women like this every day, and there are people on the One Thing survey question. If that's you, let me know, because about 8 out of 10 women who tell me that and they're having weight and energy problems, they come to me and we check their thyroid, and yes, they have a thyroid problem. And when you don't do the right tests and read them the right way, you miss this, but that's what mainstream does. Don't blame you. Don't hate your doctor. That's what we're taught. But like Oprah says, when you know better, you do better. So when I had my own health challenges and figured this out, then I can do better for women. So like in our Hormone Balance Mastermind that just wrapped up this week, that we started in January, we had 2 women, same, like just feeling terrible, energy but not good, carrying extra weight and other things. And they did all their thyroid panels. And one of the things we do is the antibodies that cause Hashimoto's as a screening test, because a significant proportion of women will have antibodies and just slight decrease in their thyroid function, not enough that's picked up on the tests that mainstream medicine does. And now these 2 women are like, oh my God, I'm headed for serious Hashimoto's hypothyroidism, but now they know they have autoimmune antibodies so they can do something about it. So you have to do the right tests at the right time and read them the right way, or you're going to miss it. So thank you for sharing that. I'm glad, Ika, that you did get that diagnosed. And Holistic Vision Coach, how are you? Good to see you. My daughter, who's in her 20s, gained 100 pounds in the last 4 years since she went on a European vacation where she indulged in too much pasta, pizza, etc. Her hormones are completely out. Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. And, you know, it's like sometimes we have an instigating incident, like we go to Europe and we are like, when in Italy, eat as the Italians eat, pizza, pasta, right? All that stuff. And we heard that they have different wheat and gluten there. It's an ancient grain, so it's not inflammatory like we have in the US, which is partly true. Um, but if we're out of balance, maybe we're not out of balance enough that we have symptoms. But when we go and push our systems so severely that way, it can tip us over into a downslide. And so that's what sounds like happened for her. So I'm sorry about that. And she definitely needs to get her hormones straightened out. For some people, it starts earlier. I do have women reaching out to me who I work with in their 20s and 30s. And I always say that they're the lucky ones. And I know you're probably thinking, why would you say that? Lucky to have a health problem? Yes, lucky, because then they can learn the truth about their health so early on that they can get themselves straight. So when they hit perimenopause and menopause, they're not suffering like everybody else because they're like, I got this. Dr. Kieran taught me how to balance my hormones and what I need to do. I don't need to worry. I'm in control. So when I help put a woman in control of her hormones, like I said in the email I sent you guys today, what are you hoping to do? Because the Hormone Balance Mastermind is launching this week. If you think it could help you, fill out your application at midlife, metabolisminstitute.com / actually, it's just find the link at the top of my Instagram page or pinned on the Facebook page. It's there. So just click the link. Anyway, put in your application. Applications are open till Thursday. But what I was saying is, we start next week. We go till summer. What would you envision happening with your health if you had balanced hormones by summer? What will you be doing? What bathing suit will you be wearing at the beach? Because maybe you lost 20 or 30 pounds that you've wanted to lose. Or maybe you're playing badminton on the beach instead of sitting on your towel like, oh my gosh, I wish I had the energy to run and play frisbee with those people or badminton. What will you be doing in the summer? Will you take that trip to Italy that you had to cancel because the shutdown, you didn't get to go, but you were thinking, oh, glad I didn't have to go because I couldn't really have the energy to schlep around Italy. But now you're like, oh, maybe by summer you'll have that energy, because there is nothing more beautiful than a woman who has hormonal balance. Nothing more beautiful and nothing more powerful. You can't do anything without your hormones being balanced. You really can't. You are not yourself. You're not fully embodied. And so it's like walking around with one leg in a cast on crutches. How fast can you go? Not very fast, right? You just can't. So what would life be like if you could get your hormones balanced? That's what I want you to start asking yourself, and asking yourself if you could use some support to get there. All right. So Dana says, so how do we lose the weight? I am so tired of starving. You have to balance your hormones, Dana, right? So those 7 main metabolic drivers: insulin, thyroid, cortisol, DHEA, estrogen, progesterone, testosterone. You have to balance those. There is no other way. I don't care if you starve yourself or you work out like an Olympic athlete at the gym. It is not going to happen without hormonal balance. Period. End of story. So don't let anybody tell you something else, right? I believe that for so long, and I tried just about everything in my 40s, and none of it worked. And because you've done it too. I know you have. You have to balance your hormones. So that's why I created the Hormone Balance Mastermind, so that women could have access to proper hormonal evaluation and treatment from any state in the United States. That's why I created my Telehormone MD, to have board certified doctors licensed in every state in the US to provide prescriptions if women need them for bioidenticals, and if not, they don't need them. But that's why I created the mastermind, to educate women about their hormones, because we do not get educated in this. Where do we get educated? Our doctors aren't taught this. I wasn't taught this in med school or residency. How are you supposed to know something that your doctor doesn't even know? Doesn't happen. You just don't. Tell me if you're watching, how are you supposed to know what your doctor doesn't even know to tell you? You can't. So that's why I created all of that. So you have to balance your hormones and stop starving. In fact, most women are not eating enough So that's a whole other issue. Yeah, this is exactly what matters. Hormone balancing thyroid functioning. Your hormones are the communicators in your body. They tell all your cells what to do. They tell them to burn calories or don't burn calories, store fat or burn fat for fuel. If you don't have the messengers right, you're not going to get anywhere. So, the analogy I like to use, because most women aren't used to hearing about this, like my hormones are communicators. So in a hurricane area, when there's a hurricane, what is the first thing that has to happen for functionality to be restored to that area? You've got to get roads open, phone lines back up, so you know how many people are injured, how many ambulances do we need to send, how many buildings are down, do we need construction crews, do people need water, do they need Tampax, do they need food, what's going on? Communication. You cannot restore functionality to anything without proper communication. In a system is only as healthy as the communication. When the teacher is out and the fifth graders have a substitute teacher with no lesson plan, there was no communication, what happens? Kids are running around playing tag and throwing spitballs, right? Because there's been no communication. When the regular teacher comes back and she communicates, students, this is the lesson today. This is what's expected of you. Sit down in your seats and be quiet and pay attention. There is communication. This is what your hormones do. They are communicators. They take information starting from your brain, go all over your body and tell all your cells, do this now and this much. Right? They tell all your cells, take up this much calories from the food you're eating. Open these fat cells and burn them and make energy out of them. Right? This is what they do. So if communication is offline, what is happening? All your cells are throwing spitballs and playing tag and running up and down the aisles, and nothing is getting done. And you're miserable. And I know because I was there, and I know because I talk to enough of you each and every day in my programs and social media, wherever you reach out to me. I know you're suffering, but you keep going to the hardware store for milk. You're like, no, we talked about this one of the other days. I forget, it was like day 3 or something. You're like, no, I'm going to get the answers from my doctor who's on my insurance plan for a $30 copay, driving in my neighborhood and finding a place to park, because that's how society told me I'm going to get the answers. So you keep going to the hardware store, but you know what? The hardware store has never had milk, and they didn't start stocking it. The doctor can't give you something he doesn't have. If he wasn't taught it, he can't share it with you. So you're not going to find it there. So you need to find the people who have suffered like I have, who have gotten the training and figured it out to help you. And you're going to have to go in your own pocket. We did a whole talk on that. What kind of person are you? Look for that Instagram or Facebook talk. What kind of the 4 people in life are you? Are you a freeple people, a cheaple people, a feeple people, or a preeple people? And I'd love to know what you are after you watch that video. So we go into detail on that. But anyway, you've got to find somebody who can help you and get the help, because you deserve it. It's so funny because when I first heard about that whole what kind of person are you, I was like, ooh, I guess I'm a cheapo people, because I'm always looking to get something for nothing or for a $30 copay. And that was me for years trying to get my health problems solved. I was my own $30 copay. There's got to be something wrong. I'm going to check the labs again. I go to my internist. There's got to be something wrong. She said, okay, we'll check the labs again, right? But never realizing that between the two of us, with the training we had, we were not taught how to properly assess hormones. So now I know better. All right. Does adrenal fatigue also relate to hormone balance? Oh, yes. It's so that your cortisol, your stress hormone. And so you've got to balance cortisol to balance all your other hormones. So that is a key part. And that's something we do a salivary cortisol test in the mastermind. Hashimoto's is in remission through diet and supplementation. That is awesome. It's Claudia. Hey, Claudia. Hi, Kieran. This is so helpful. Great. Christy joined. Let me see if I can take my plug out if I'm charged enough now, because I know that's probably giving you guys seasickness. Elise says, hi, Elise. Love your podcast. First time joining you live. If you haven't heard my podcast, it's Her Brilliant Health Revolution. Definitely check it out. Can essential oils play a role in hormone balance? Yes, they can help. It's never the whole answer. I wish it were. And I know that there are some great products on the market that help, but I see women all the time who are like, I've been using X product from X very well-known company, and it helped me a lot, but I'm not getting where I want to be. So it is a tool that can supplement your efforts, like supplements can, like other lifestyle changes, but I've never found that it's the whole answer. So that's a great question. Dana says, so I can be treated by your clinic. So that's a great question. So I am not like a traditional doctor, right? I don't have people drive through traffic and sit in, try to find a place to park and sit in a little paper gown. I do everything virtually. And because I used to have women reaching out. I still have women reaching out to me from all states. I felt terrible when I can't be licensed in every state. It's just too much. So I created I fixed my company so that I work with women all over the country. And for the diagnostic and prescriptive part, I have a telemedicine company where I have doctors licensed in every state who can do testing and treatment if needed. And then I do all the coaching and education with my health coaches in my program. So the only way to work with me is through the Hormone Balance Mastermind. So if that would be helpful to you, you definitely can check it out. Like I said, the link is at the top in my Instagram bio. We are open for applications only until Thursday at 10 a.m. Eastern. So if you think that could be helpful, go fill out an application. I saw a question about the cost, but you don't even know what's included in it. So I'm just going to refer you back to that video I did about what kind of the four types of people are you? Are you a freeple people, a cheaple people, a feeple people, or a preeple people? Because you need to even know what's in the program to assess if it is worth the cost. And I haven't even told you all the things in the program. So I would definitely invite you to click the link. It's also pinned to the top of the Facebook page, and go and read more about the program. Ashwagandha is a great herb. Yes, Ika says finding the right team is crucial. Yes. And let's see. It's crazy that doctors don't know this. Insane. My sister has had Hashimoto's 30 plus years and all they test is TSH. No, folks. Like if you have Hashimoto's and you're listening to this and you're not following your antibody levels, your TPO, thyroid peroxidase antibody, and your antithyroglobulin regularly, at least twice a year, if not 4 times a year, your doctor's doing something wrong. And you should be able to get those antibodies to 0. I see it all the time. So any doctor that tells you you're going to have it for the rest of your life, Hashimoto's, is wrong. You can reverse it. You can get rid of the antibodies. So ashwagandha is an awesome herb for cortisol. But, part of the issue is that I sometimes am reluctant to say, like, people are like, ooh, is biotin good for hair? And I think there was somebody who went on Oprah and said something about biotin was good for hair. Well, next thing you know, every woman in America was taking ginormous doses of biotin, which is a B vitamin. The problem is when you overdose one of the B vitamins, you cause your body to have a problem with the others. And so they were unwittingly causing problems with the others. So I'm loath to say ashwagandha is good for cortisol balance, because then people want to run out. Oh my God, I need ashwagandha, because we're always looking for the one thing. Who here is I want the one thing person? Right? I used to be this way. Anybody here? Give me a comment in Facebook. Give me a shout out in Instagram. Let me know. Were you a one thing person? Like, I just want to know the one thing I need to do to make my skin look awesome. I just want to know the one thing I need to do to balance my hormones. I just want to know the one thing I need to do to you fill in the blank, make $1 million, have the career of my dreams, right? We're such a society of, I want the quick fix. I want the one thing. I don't want it to be complicated. I don't want it to be expensive. But who here has ever had any success with one thing that was $4.99 that they bought off Amazon, just as an example? Because I know I bought my share of. I see, okay, the shake weight. Who here has a shake weight? Who here knows what the shake weight is? Anybody? You remember that weight that came out I guess it was probably like 15 years ago, and you shook it and it had weights on each end and the weights went back and forth. Come on, people. Don't tell me I'm not the only one who knows about the shake weight. And they had these amazing commercials where they would have these big buff guys doing the shake weight, and they'd be like, do it for 20 minutes a day while you're watching TV. You'll be so buff. You know what I'm talking about. Who bought the shake weight? Because I was like, I want to work out just for 20 minutes a day and be super buff. I want that. I think it was like $15.99, and it was something like, buy it now. We'll send you 2 shake weights, one for you, one for your friend. So people know it. They never bought it. I bought it because I always wanted the one thing. What's the one thing? And I wanted it to be cheap because I was a cheapo people. Don't give me complicated. Don't give me hard. Well, you get out what you put in. And so that's why I weighed 243 pounds and I had all the problems that I had. Because it's just not anything worth it in life is not simple, I promise you. So I am loath to say, oh, ashwagandha is good, because then everybody's going to be going on Amazon and trying to find ashwagandha and taking it. And then they're going to be pissed off because they're going to be like, Dr. Kieran said ashwagandha was good. I've been taking it for 2 months and I don't feel any better. Because if you don't fix all your hormones, it's like if you're sitting on 7 tacks, right? 7 main metabolic hormones. If you're sitting on 7 tacks, each one's a hormone, and say you take out 2, does your butt still hurt from sitting on tacks? Yes. Say you take out 5, does your butt still hurt from sitting on tacks? Yes. Even if you take 6 of them out, if you got 1 out of balance, your butt's still going to hurt. It doesn't matter how many tacks you take out. So what women need is what I discovered and helped me lose 100 pounds, heal from chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia, anxiety, depression, irritable bowel, gastritis, hair loss, low sex drive, like all the things I was having that I have used with hundreds of women over the past 10 years to help them. And so I used to do this in a brick and mortar office. Then I started doing it virtually, just in the states in which I was licensed. And then finally I was like, there are so many women who need this help. I created the telemedicine company and then the coaching company, and we work together to give women an end-to-end solution in the United States to their hormone problems. And that is the Hormone Balance Mastermind. So if that interests you, if you're like, okay, I've had enough. I get it that the one thing is not a thing. I'm not going to find the one thing and get it fixed. No shake weight. So definitely check it out and join me. So thank you guys so much for joining me. I will answer your next question tomorrow. Trying to remember what it was. I can't remember, but I'll shoot out an email. Make sure you're on my email list earlier to let you know what it is. I will be back at 1 o'clock tomorrow and Eastern, and I will see you at that time. Mwah, mwah. Many, many blessings. Have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye. Whoops.